Is this on, and I am here to continue our talk on the this Ramadan on the topic of societal well-being. Our first lecture, first discussion was towards our interaction with our neighbors. We're talking about societal being, which means the path or roadmap to self-purification, and not just at the individual level, but at the societal level. We want to discuss how our relationship and interaction should be with our family, with people um, beyond family. That includes neighbors, relatives, and community members as well. And so we were talking about how that should look like when it comes to neighbors. And today we are going to be talking about how those interactions should look like with the extended members of the community. So they might not be your neighbors, they might not be your family, they might not be your friends even, but yet because by virtue of them being part of the community, you have certain rights and you have duties towards them, and there are obviously benefits to it, and the religion has laid out some concepts and a roadmap to outline how one should be conducting themselves. So again, this is 19. This is 20th Ramadan. Um, we will be talking about this for the remainder of the Ramadan. We have different segments of this topic that we will be covering. It's a great honor to be talking about this and delivering a lecture to you guys here. Thank you for your feedback and listening to us as well. I'm also thankful to the management of Ba'bul Ilm Bani Hashim Society, Mississauga, Ontario, for actually organizing this wonderful lecture series. So without further ado, let's get started on the topic of how our interactions should look like with our community member. And again, the lens that we are looking at is how we can self-purify, how can we achieve that proximity, and that's to our creator, and how can we self-purify ourselves to become an active member in the society as well, right? So definitely one of the focus of the talk today would be how we can praise our role in the community, in the local community that we live in. How can we evaluate ourselves as to what sort of role are we playing right now, how impactful and beneficial it is to the community members, and then also to realize that the importance of unity within our local community is actually critical and very, very important for various reasons. We'll start with a verse in the script of Holy Quran. It's Surah Al-Araf, chapter number 7, verse number 181. And Allah says, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, وَمِمَّنْ خَلَقْنَا أُمَّةً يَهْدُونَ بِالْحَقِّ وَبِهِ يَعْدِلُونَ. And I translate, among those we have created are a nation who guide by the truth and do justice thereby. So two things basically is what Allah Ta'ala is mentioning here. He's talking about how he has created a nation for two particular things who are guided by the truth. So truth is critical. That should be the foundation of a community, of a nation. And then after that comes justice. So two key elements that Allah has talked about in this verse as well. And we'll talk more about it, but let me step back and tell you about how what is the perspective of the religion on treating local community members. So we've talked about how we have certain types of duties towards our neighbors, how if we are sharing space or people who are companion in our side, even we have to be respectful of their presence and make sure that they're not troubled by our presence. Same goes for local community as well. They constitute of people living in your community, basically in your area. We understood from our last talk that neighbors are anyone, according to Imam Ali's narration, neighbors are anyone that are living in 40 houses in all four sides from you. Well, if you extend that into an area could be, whatever is the common knowledge, an area has like a special name, that will be considered as the community. So if people are living in that community, that would become your local community. Um, so if we are all united by the area we are living in, there should be other principles as well that should unite. Maybe you share the same faith. And if you do, then obviously we're all brothers and sisters in faith. We have certain duties towards each other. If we talk specifically about the local Muslim community, then this is where that notion of two key elements comes from, where in the verse that we just discussed, Allah is saying how we create a nation with truth and justice. It is guided by the truth and establishes justice by that truth. So there are two key elements of a Muslim local community. So if you want to follow the exemplary community, any role we play in that local community must also be led by the truth and should be able to uphold justice. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said, whoever does not care about the affairs of the Muslims is not one of them. Now, it is clear from this hadith that we must care about others in whatever way we can. Like, we all have special qualities. Every person is unique. We all have a certain skill to share, a certain something that we can use to help others. We can contribute to the society in very different ways. We are all unique, and we all have a role to play. So if we are united and if we cooperate and if we systematically help each other out, the community can be a great one. It can have great benefits, not just for the individual, but for the community at large. Here's an example. The Holy Prophet was actually traveling with his companion at this one time when they stopped at a place to eat. Well, they decided to slaughter a sheep and roast it. So one of them actually said that, okay, I will do the slaughtering. He volunteered and it's like, okay, I will do the slaughtering. The other one actually walked up and said, okay, I will remove the skin. Once you have slaughtered it, I'll do that part. The third one actually came forward and said, I will do the roasting. So a big task were actually divided into three. Everyone was playing their role. And it wasn't forced upon them. They actually volunteered. They offered their own support because they knew they were good at a certain skill set. They're all unique, and they offered to help out. Rasulullah saw that and he also said, okay, I shall collect and bring the firewood from the forest. And to which the companions were kind of surprised, or they requested, oh Prophet, you don't need to do anything, we'll do everything. You can just relax and let us do the job to bring the firewood. We'll do that and we'll take care of that as well. Well, Rasulullah said, well, I know you can do everything, but I will not enjoy just sitting back and enjoy preferential treatment. Allah does not like that. He went and then gathered the firewood. So as you can see, even the Holy Prophet wanted to make sure that he was role modeling his behavior for all the Muslims, for all the community members, that it doesn't matter what designation you have, if you have what status in the community you have, you should be able to help out with your own unique set of skills. So whether you're in a group setting at home or you are at a mosque, you should cooperate with others for a common good, towards like a common goal that you want to achieve. It is extremely important as well that you're not just forced to do certain things. You volunteer yourself, you offer your skill set, and you do it out of your own volition. Okay, so now that we're clear about how important it is, how the religion has kind of stipulated the importance of unity and offering to help out in a community. I also want to talk about 7 things that are actually outlined in the religion by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it's got 7 rights that are absolutely wajib, obligatory on one upon one mu'min towards another. So there are like 7 things that are wajib. Number 1 is respect. So definitely respect is at the top. It is critical that every person, every community member gives respect to another person. Number 2, love, and in his heart there should be a love. There should be no place of hatred. There should be no bad taste between relationship, let's say, of 2 people. They should have a special bond. They should be friendly with each other, and they should love each other if they are part of the community member, if they're part of the community. Number 3, share his property with him. So property share, let's say if they need something, if they need space to live, if they are traveling, let's say, well, if they're traveling, they're probably not from the community area, but like one, but even then, this is part of the 7 wajib things that you should be doing, considering riba against that person unlawful. So anyone who's doing it, we should stay away from that discussion. You yourself should not be engaging in that discussion as well. Absolutely forbidden to do riba. Riba basically means to talk about ill things about someone in their absence. So if that person is not there, and people are talking ill things about that person, we should stay away from that discussion, let alone be part of that discussion, right? And then the 5th one is visit them in illness. If someone is sick, it's very, very important that you go and pay them a visit. You offer them their support. You ask them if they need anything, if they need help with their household chores, or if they need, any medicines and stuff like that. So it's critically important that anyone who falls ill in a community, you'll go and pay them a visit and make sure that they know that you're there to support them in times of their need, right? And the Holy Prophet used to do that a lot, as we have also seen by studying his life. Number 6 is attending the funeral. So these are the rights when a person passes away, when a community member passes away. It's important that we do the final rites of that person. So attending their funeral is critically important as well. And last but not least is to say nothing about a person but good after he has actually passed. If someone has passed, it becomes our responsibility. It's obligatory to not to speak ill of him, but good. If you really have to say something, say good things about him. And if you don't want to say anything good, don't say anything that is bad about that person. Community. So basically, these are the 7 things. And what the religion is trying to tell us is that the community is like a big body, and all of us, all the members, are like its organs. And so because all the organs have specific roles to play, we also have specific roles to play in the community. And if there is one organ that is not functioning properly, then the entire body will not be able to function properly, right? And remain healthy. So every organ has to do its fair share, and then only the entire body will be able to work. If, let's say, a certain organ is not able to, or is not doing its fair share, then the other parts of the body will be overworked, right? So in the same way, in the community, we have to make sure that if we're part of the community, we're doing our part so that the entire community runs smoothly and creates an impact uh, um, for the entire community as well. A community is very, why are we doing this? Like, why is it important to do all this? Why is it important to be associated to a community? Why is it important to volunteer, to offer your support, to share your skill to the community? Well, because, okay, we know it's self-purification. We talked about it. It's self-purification at a societal level, not at the individual level, but other benefits of this is, one of them is that a community itself is very beneficial as it provides a sense of belonging. Now that's very critical. One does not feel lonely when one belongs to a community, right? If you can find a source of support when it's needed. Some of the examples, for example, let's say you in your daily lives as well, if you are commuting, let's say if you're commuting to the same work location or to the same area every single day, maybe you can share the rides. Maybe you can, if someone is sick and they're alone by themselves and they're not able to do the household chores, a community member can actually help them out. If they're not able to buy medicines, a community member can actually help them out in doing that. So support. So basically, the sense of belonging is there, but after that sense of belonging comes these different support services, right? So like it could be during times of grief, or when a new community member actually arrives in the area and needs help in getting settled in the area, right? So all those things are actually offered if there is a strong community, and they know what skills they have and how that person can be helped. We have an example of the Great Migration as well. That was when Muslims actually, when Rasul actually arrived in Medina after migrating from Mecca, he actually made this thing as well. He provided this role model. He made the people who were arriving from Medina, he called them as Muhajirun, and the people who were already living in Mecca, they were known as the Ansar, and he made a pact of brotherhood between them. So everyone was paired. An Ansar, he made every Muhajir a brother of an Ansar and told them to remain loyal and united and support them in getting them settled. So an Ansar would actually help and share their property, share their trade, share their business with the Muhajirun or the Muhajir brother, and help them get settled. And in this way, it began, he began to form a community that offered support to new members, to existing members, whoever was in some need there. For his own self, for his own brother, he chose Imam Ali alayhi salam as well, as we all know, which is in itself a great honor, right? Okay. So we've talked about the importance of the sense of belonging in the community, how a community can give support to people in times of their need. But there are other things as well that Quran at least mentions in terms of the importance of unity in the community. So we'll go and I'll go and talk about this verse from chapter number 3, verse number 103, says Surah Al-Imran. And Allah Ta'ala said, and I'm going to quote, this is a very, very popular verse. I'll just do the initial Arabic part, which is Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. Wa'tasimu bi jablillahi jami'an wa la tafarraqu. I'm going to translate this: hold fast altogether to Allah's cord and do not be divided. And so do not be divided. So that's like the number one thing. He's emphasizing on unity. We'll talk about why and what is the importance of unity, but let me just complete the translation of this entire verse, which is verse number 103, chapter number 3. And it goes on to say, and remember Allah's blessings upon you when you were enemies. Then he brought your hearts together, so you became brothers with his blessing. And you were on the brink of the pit of a fire, from which he saved you. does Allah clarifies His sins for you so that you may be guided, right? So there are many places actually in the Holy Quran where He's talking about unity and the importance of unity. Um, and he is so, but like one of the things is that He is emphasizing in this verse is that it's um, if we are not united, the community will be extremely weak and will be over, will not be able to provide those support services. People will not be encouraged to ask for help if they need it. It will stop functioning as a community. All those benefits that we talked about, the sense of belonging, the support services, like visiting people when they're sick, people offering help to people in times of their need, if they are going through a grief, all these things will not be sustainable if we are not united, if we do not have a relationship with the community, right? So that unity is the foundation, and that unity is the basis of a strong community that helps to create an environment of love and brotherhood, right? Another one of the most important roles that we talked about 7 things, and one of the last 2 things were after a person has passed in the community, and we talked about how it is obligatory to attend their funeral. Now, one of the important roles is also to perform or to carry out the funeral rites of Muslims in the community when required. It's performing those funeral rites is actually wajib al-kifai, which means that if some people fulfill this obligation, then others will be relieved of this responsibility. Otherwise, it would remain wajib on all the Muslims. So if there is no one to perform those funeral rites, then absolutely it is obligatory on you to do it. And obviously, if someone does it, then it is no longer wajib. We have a narration by our sixth Imam, Masjid Ali Canada. I'm going to translate that and quote: be as God has commanded you, join with each other, do good to each other, have mercy on each other, and be good brothers for each other. So again, a very good summary of what Islam entails about your role in a community. Now, another fiqh ruling I think that is probably important and pertinent to talk about here is that if a person passes away, a Muslim passes away, or a non-Muslim passes away, it is actually wajib. Again, it's obligatory on the guardian of a Muslim who has died to give him also the funeral rites like the kafan, salatul mayyit, and his burial. Now, even this is obligatory, even if the deceased is not a Shia person or right. So it's actually critical, and it's actually wajib to perform those funeral rites. Now, we talked about the importance of unity, how it is important to encourage that environment of support system, and but then how can we do that? What is one way? Well, one way is that you focus on commonalities. Obviously, there could be differences between different people, but if you keep talking about those differences, you will not be able to establish that unity, right? So one of the ways to do it is by focusing on commonalities, by focusing on what are things that you actually share with each other, and this will strengthen the bond between community members. So to wrap it up, I'm going to just wrap this up and conclude this by 3 things, maybe 3 or 4 things here, that it is really, really important to make sure that we're playing our part in our local community. We must take time out of our lives and help out in any way we can. I know everyone is working their jobs and they're supporting their family and they're doing other chores, but it's important to carve out some time to help out, to volunteer your time, to offer your skill set that you have. And like I said, every single person is unique and they have a special skill set. So never feel that, oh, I'm not, I may have like a technical skill set or this and that is not useful for the community. No, it would be. You could do Like if you have a specific technical skill set, you could do classes, for free, or offer it at a reduced price. And just an example, right? You could do these things. Um, Number two that we talked about was how unity is critical for a functioning community, right? So definitely discourage acts in the community um, which would cause fighting and arguments. Make sure that there is an environment of kindness and respect, because as we learned, just definitely respect is definitely one of those things that is wajib on moment towards another. As we have also seen how Rasulullah, the Holy Prophet, actually role modeled the brotherhood between Ansar and the Muhajirun, and it basically shows the importance of unity. And we've talked about how community is like a big body, like the organs are all doing their fair share to make sure that it runs smoothly. And this is exactly what we are in a community. We have a special task to do, and we have to do it. Otherwise, everyone else would be overworked, and it would not be fully functional. So and when we say a community is fully functional, it means it's actually offering a sense of belonging and provides us support in times of need, and that we talked about in great detail as well. Well, I'm going to stop here. Thank you so much for listening to me today as well. Today's talk was really about how our community, how our interactions should be with our community, how can we follow the footsteps of Ahlul Bayt, the Holy Prophet, and from the teachings of Islam to make sure that our community is strong, united, and fully functional.